Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 158 in the book of Genesis. Today, give my hands favor. Now, we're going to return to our story with Joseph. Now, Joseph is in slavery. He's also a handsome young lad, and Potiphar's wife casts her eyes upon him and also casts her desire towards him. And she makes this sexual trap for him. She grabs his garment, and Joseph flees. And we find out that amidst all this terrible stuff, and he's even going to go to prison here with today's story, that the Lord is with Joseph. So the Lord's present in bad circumstances. This is Genesis chapter 39, verse 16, finishing the sexual trap here to start. Then she laid up his garment by her until his master came home, till the husband comes home. And she told him, the husband, the same story, saying, the Hebrew servant, that is Joseph, whom you have brought among us, came in to laugh at me. And this is all a lie. But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house. So she makes up this story that it's Joseph's fault. As soon as his master heard the words that his wife spoke to him, and the quotes the wife, this is the way your servant has treated me, unquote. His anger, back to the husband, his anger is kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined, kind of the Tower of London. And he was there in prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. Joseph is in prison, and the Lord shows him steadfast love, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners who were in the prison, and whatever was done there, he was the one who did it. The keeper of the prison paid no attention to anything that was in Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him. Whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. So sometimes you can't believe what the Bible says, and today was one of those days, and I just ended up saying, wow, it just popped out of my mouth. And here it is, verse 21 was the great verse of the day. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So back in verse 2, same chapter, we find out that the Lord is with Joseph. And then also in verse 23, the Lord is with him. Now, let's just take a step back. The Lord does not have to do this. The Lord does not have to be with humans. He does not have to be with people. But he decides to. He did it with Adam. He did it with Eve. And now here we find him leaning in to Joseph and to us. So my first response is, wow, gratitude. The Lord comes down. The Lord meets us and saves us. He does for us what we can't do for ourselves. Then in the meantime, the Lord gives him favor and makes his hand succeed. So not only does the Lord lean in, but the Lord leans in and then helps. So I don't know if Joseph prays. It doesn't say that he does, but we hear that the Lord's hand is on the hand of Joseph. The Lord's hand is on the hand of Joseph. So the Lord gives him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison, and the favor that the Lord gives. So the Lord puts his hand on the hand of Joseph to show the Lord's hand, if you will, and everybody sees it. So the jailer sees it, and probably the other prisoners see it. So the favor of the Lord spills over from Joseph, even though he's in prison. It's the proximity, it's the presence of the Lord that gives him this favor. It's the being with the Lord that gives him this wonderful life, and the togetherness of the Lord that gives him this thriving that he's experiencing here in prison. So this reminds me of the John 15 passage where it talks about abide in the vine. It's the abiding that it eventually gives the fruit. So the Lord's supremacy does not make him remote. His contact with humans and putting on the hand of Joseph, his contact is effective. So let's talk about that contact. Let's talk about the relationship of God to man. That relationship is covenantal, it's ongoing, and it's forever. The short answer is it's hesed. That's the Hebrew word for the way the Lord relates to mankind. In our passage, it says that the Lord shows his steadfast love. Steadfast love is the Hebrew word hesed. So what is hesed? Hesed is God's faithful and steady way of relating to the knuckleheads who happen to be mankind. And it's significant for its depth and its duration. It never ends. And it answers this question is, hey, will God dwell with mankind? And amazingly, as I'm surprised here, the answer is yes, he will dwell with mankind. And people ask it different ways. Hey, will you go before us? Will you be kind of remote in leading us? Or are you going to go with us along the way? And the answer is the Lord decides, or this is his character, that he wants to be with us, in the midst of us. It's this ongoing demonstration of God's mercy. So then we're a bunch of knuckleheads. If man's unfaithful and unsteady, does it nullify the faithfulness of God? Short answer is no. And then finally, he asks us, because of this great impact that he has on us with his faithfulness, then he asks us to show it to the world, which is what Joseph is doing in prison. So Hesed is this warmth of God's fellowship and relationship and the security of God's faithfulness. It's not merely love, but it's this loyal love. It's not merely kindness, but it's dependable kindness. It's not just the Lord's affection, but it's affection that's committed itself through all the bad things that man is going to do. So in conclusion, Lord, thank you for leading us and leaning into Joseph and our lives. You're holy and we're not, and that has to be difficult. Then, Lord, give me favor with you positionally and professionally and in all the roles I have. You gave Joseph favor. Give me and us that success. Give us this influence. Give me spiritual acreage. May my hand succeed because of your hand upon it. May what you show me, that is your steadfast love, your hesed, empower and inflame and produce the produce of my life and relationships. So, Lord, may your hand be upon my hand like Joseph, so that you can use my hands to show your hands and your favor to the world. Thanks for listening.